Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for today's webinar, Behind the Scenes of the Hawks Learning Psychology course. My name is Danny Shapiro, and I'm on the marketing team here at Hawks. Our speaker today is Hawks Learning's own Cory Eno. Cory joined the Hawks family in 2017 after 15 years in the classroom. As a psychology subject matter expert, Cory has worked with instructors around the country to create Hawks' new course, Introduction to Psychology. Cory received a bachelor's degree in history and psychology from SUNY Fredonia and a master's degree in American history from American Public University. We are excited that Cory is here to share this look behind the scenes. If you have any questions during the webinar, please enter those into the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen, and we will address them at the end of the talk. And on that note, I will hand it over to you, Cory.
Thank you, Danny. Can you hear me, Danny?
Yes,
welcome,
I can.
Everybody. Thank you. I just want to welcome everybody and thank you for taking the time to meet with us today and take a look at our Intro to Psychology product. We're going to first talk a little bit about Hawks itself because in psychology, it's a new discipline for us here at Hawks, and you might not know much about the company and our mission. Then we'll look at the courseware itself, what makes Hawks special in terms of how we approach courseware. We'll look at the course, the intro course specifically, and look at what we've been building and what we've got to offer. And then we'll take some time for any questions or comments that you might have. So what's Hawks all about? It's very much summed up right here, developed by educators and designed for students. One of the things that drew me to Hawks from the classroom was its focus on students and on educators. It's been wonderful to move out of the classroom and to be in an environment where students and teachers are put first. That was evident everywhere from the interview process right to this moment and what we're doing right now. Hawks has been a math company for most of its history, about 40 years. And we noticed as there was more and more of a need for developmental math products, we started to think about developmental English products. And as we branched out into that new discipline of English, we started our new humanities and social sciences division. One interesting thing about talking about developmental around here, those in the psych field know that that means something different when you're talking about psych courses than when you're talking about English and math courses. But we're really excited to have our first offering here with our intro course and to build from there. What's really cool about this is our courses are built by instructors just like you. We've already worked with over 100 contributors from around the country on a lot of different projects that range anywhere from some initial feedback and really taking the time to sit and talk with us about what their classrooms are like, what their approaches are like, what sorts of pain points their students might have, what they see a need for. Those conversations have been amazing. As you might imagine, going from classroom to a cubicle, I am craving a little bit of sociability. So it's been great talking and reaching out to instructors around the country and kind of still being a teacher. And on that note, I've been able to attend a few national and regional conferences. We were back in October at the Society for the Teaching of Psychology's annual conference on teaching in Phoenix, which was a great conference. And then in November, we were up at NECTOP and NEPA, which is the Northeastern Conference for the Teachers of Psychology and the New England Psychological Association. I got to jump back in and participate in some of those sessions and gained a lot from it. And some of you may be joining us. I'd love to see you if you are. Very, very soon here, January 3rd through 6th, we're going to be at the National Institute for the Teaching of Psychology Conference in St. Pete Beach. My role is interesting here at Hawks. Technically, my title is product manager, but that's sort of started to shift as the project has moved on, and we've had so many projects associated with courseware like this. As you might imagine, we have our instructional content, where we're building a textbook out of that. We have this robust question bank. we're building a lot of different resources, and that creates multiple products under the umbrella of this Intro to Psychology product. I may have left the classroom, but the classroom really never leaves you. So I've kind of been a teacher first and foremost. That's what's made being kind of lead editor and content expert so fun for me is that when I'm revising, when I'm editing, when I'm coordinating these projects, I'm able to still be focused in on what's going to be best for students. So I listed a whole bunch of verbs there, and really day to day, it can be any combination of those and many, many more. So I'm having a lot of fun building this. Our courseware, no matter what course you get, you'll notice here, this is from the intro course, the lesson on classical conditioning, but no matter what course you get with Hawks, you're going to have this nice, consistent, familiar interface. And what really makes Hawks stand out is our learning path. So every course, every lesson, you're going to have this learning path of learn, practice, and certify. And as you might guess, it doesn't take too much intuition to figure out here that learn is the instructional content that is going to be your classic textbook content, but not so classic in the sense that we have upgraded it and we've pushed for a lot of interactivity and engagement within that material. Practice is exactly what it sounds like. It's practice with for students with our question bank, which is going to range from multiple choice questions to where there's more than one right answer, where there's one right answer, click to select questions we'll have in the product where students select a word or a sentence within a paragraph. We try to make things as engaging as possible by not just going with multiple choice questions, but we do know, and you know, that the bulk of testing in psychology does tend to be multiple choice. We want to be consistent with that. And certify, the students are going to run into some of those same questions from practice, but we write our questions iteratively. All of our questions have 20, 25 different versions or iterations of themselves. This is both particularly challenging in psychology to write those kinds of questions. Our contributors have done an amazing job. It's easy in the sense that psychology is an applied social science, and so taking scenarios and asking students to, in this lesson, find the unconditioned stimulus, it can be easy to iterate that out and come up with a lot more scenarios, but that's also a lot more writing and a lot more creativity. So it's got its challenges, and it's certainly fun, and it's definitely more engaging for the student than your concrete definition type questions. But certify, that last piece, is going to be the mastery piece. So practice is no stakes. There's going to be lots of tutoring. We're going to look at that in depth in a second. And certify, we're going to take away that help and have the student show us that they've mastered the content. So that first piece is learn. And we've done a lot with our learn content. We partnered with OpenStax, and we brought in that instructional content, and then we've enhanced it. Our newly enhanced Learn screens are going to have, or do have, engagement boxes, everything from group activities that are ready to go for you to use in the classroom, helpful hints, and those can be anything from hints for a student to help make a concept come alive a little bit, to ordered lists to help the student remember a certain process, reflection questions, further resources, lots of links out to everything from YouTube videos to TED Talks to NPR podcasts. On your own, you'll see this box quiz on the right side. We've got a lot of different on your owns, everything from printable tables where students can fill in their own information to the simple box quizzes, like you see the one here on a testable hypothesis, to click to select questions like I mentioned before. A lot more images, a lot more organizational graphics. Try to take some of, if you're familiar with OpenStax, it's a wonderful product, but one of my criticisms of it as a teacher is just how dense and text heavy it could be. And so we really tried to find ways to distill information and make it more visual. But as the students work through that learn content, we also break it up into digestible chunks that we call screens. So instead of moving from one page to the next, we're really moving one screen to the next. And each learn screen, we try to make, again, digestible so the student gets a little bit of engagement, but is not overwhelmed by what's there in front of them. Along with that, at the beginning of every lesson, we will have this flash forward feature. We have partnered with Quizlet. Those of you who are familiar with Quizlet will know that the one problem that we have with that is that it's crowdsourced information, and your students may come back, hey, I got a set of flashcards, I studied so hard, but they weren't really sure where those flashcards were coming from. It may very well have been an instructor who put them up. It also might have been a freshman in high school who put them together. We have partnered with Quizlet to become verified creators. You'll get that nice little verified creator check next to our resources on Quizlet. They're there. You can actually look us up today and find the Hawks Quizlet flashcards, but they're linked there right within Learn, so students don't have to leave this learning session to practice their vocab. You'll notice in the bottom right-hand corner, that screen chooses study mode. They'll have access to all the study modes that Quizlet offers. And we know how vocab heavy psych is, so we want to give this opportunity for students to start each lesson by digging into the vocab first before even really tackling material. And then along with that, another thing that we wanted to address is to have a print resource and have something that anchors the students in the learning. We know that while reading online certainly can be beneficial to the student, we want to make sure that we're leading them along and we're giving them opportunities to engage. Learning, when attached to something semantic right away, is so important. So that's kind of the mission behind the guided notebook. We wanted, as the student moved through their learn screens, to have these opportunities. We did some fill in the blank, but we tried to limit it. It's pretty passive learning. It's not very active. So we tried to limit it, but to also give a student kind of an anchor as to where they are in the text. But lots of opportunities to fill in diagrams and graphic organizers, chances for on your own activities and on your own reflection questions to try and apply things to real life. There's lots of matching and traditional vocab exercises, but we also tried to mix that up. Here you see an example where a student provides an example that exemplifies a concept. We have some paraphrasing, we have some key terms exercises where students group terms together and have to justify those groupings. We also have at the end of every lesson, say it in a sentence. Some of you may have used this in the classroom. I used the word distill a little earlier. This is a great example of that, taking something complicated, distilling it down to one sentence. This kind of thing can be used not only to guide the students through the learn screens, but also could be used for homework, for example. There are a lot of benefits to it. This is something I'm particularly excited about. The teacher and me was geeking out the whole time we made this, and we've shown some samples at trade shows, and people have been really excited about it, and students have been really excited about it, so we are too. This next phase is practice, as I mentioned. What you're going to find here are practice questions, and you're also going to find some help. So students, you're going to get a question here. You have Lydia getting a speeding ticket. Full disclosure, Lydia is my daughter. This did not happen to her yet. She is going to associate the discomfort of the incident with seeing a police car, and she's going to get nervous every time she sees one on the highway. If the student is unsure, they can take a guess here and they can submit their answer. There's no penalty whatsoever, but they can go and they can get some tutoring. And that's going to entail a couple of different things. But one thing that makes Hawks very special is our attention to error-specific feedback. So if the student got the question wrong, they could click explain error, or they could try again. And if they click explain error, they're going to get an explanation. And what we really tried to do was not give that answer away, but to lead the student back. In practice, give them kind of least to most intrusive prompting. This answer is incorrect because it's not the behavior caused by the conditioned stimulus. That's what we're looking for here. So what's the behavior that's caused by the conditioned stimulus? We keep leading the student back. They can also get the solution. Hey, just tell me what the answer is. And they can also click try similar to get the exact same question. You'll notice that it's boxed in here. We just have a new scenario. In Certify, you're going to get those same questions, but we've written so many iterations that we've maximized the odds that the student is not going to game the system and just get the same question again. You can set your mastery level. I should go back one slide. You can set your mastery level. Here it's at 82%. It's just that out of the number correct, student can get 2 wrong here and still pass Certify. Notice that the help is gone. And what's going to happen here is if this student, we kind of gamified it a little bit with the hearts there, if this student was to miss more than 2 questions, they're actually going to be taken out of Certify, back into practice, and we have adaptive remediation. That student's going to get an adaptive set of questions built specifically around those objectives that they just got incorrect. So we're going to work them back through practice in that adaptive set, and then they can go back and try Certify again. So learn, practice, certify, student moves right through those 3 modes, and we have those resources like the guided notebook and Quizlet to help scaffold that. And then the end game here is Certify. So you can look at the mastery level of each of your students. So what else have we got? In fall of 2019, we'll have a textbook, printed textbook, and this will be built on those enhanced learn screens. So a lot of those on your own activities, obviously not as interactive as they will be online, but some opportunities for those on your own, some reflection questions, and for students to kind of practice what they're doing and apply what they're doing in a textbook format will be there. And as we continue to make those enhancements and build that, we'll keep you informed. All of our lessons will have lesson level presentation style videos, so that at the beginning of every lesson, a student can watch a video that kind of outlines the lesson, and those are created by instructors like you. So we'll have professors from around the country who are building those using their own unique teaching styles to present that. We'll also have example level and concept level videos for those bigger concepts that really need that kind of attention. And then we're also building chapter projects that are also built by instructors. And when I say they're ready to go, they're there for you, ready to use, ready to go, ready to apply in the classroom. One example would be complete with a rubric and a project on designing experiments in one of our early chapters. As you're looking at these prices, you're probably comparing that with a lot of competitors for an intro text. You've seen that they're pretty affordable pricing. One reason we're able to do that is our partnership with OpenStax. We really believe in the mission of OERs, and we really do believe in keeping things affordable for students. That is also for lifetime access, which you know, I've talked to students and instructors, and some people see the benefit of that and some don't. But for an intro course in particular, especially for majors, having your intro course have lifetime access, able to go back to that, especially a resource as robust as this one, be really beneficial to students. Our courseware is going to be at $30 with the guided notebook prepared to be $50. And that lasts through fall of 2019. And really want to mention that if you're interested in piloting the course in your classroom, we are ready for pilots to take flight at this point. So please email us at psychology@hawkslearning.com. Beyond that, though, please email us at psychology@hawkslearning.com if you have any other further questions beyond this webinar, or if you just want to reach out. And in particular, if you are interested in consulting, we are always looking for instructors to help us build the product. We're always looking for new voices, new approaches, and for feedback. So please don't hesitate. We have a lot of ongoing projects, and chances are we can find something that can work for both of us. And I guess now I'll open it up to any questions or comments you might have.
All right, thanks so much, Cory. I want to remind the audience that down at the bottom of your screen, you should see a question and answer box. You can click on that and submit any questions you have. Cory, I wanted to ask you, how do you approach a subject as broad as intro psychology?
Yeah, that's a good question. I've gotten that question before when we've been at conferences. Essentially, you've got the scope of intro to psych is it's too big for a semester. And so I know a lot of instructors have to be very choosy. They have to kind of pick through what it is they're going to present. Our approach was to provide as much scope as possible, so that, you know, within our table of contents, and when you look at our table of contents, you'll see kind of everything included. But one beautiful thing about Hawks and its courseware and curriculum is that it's customizable. So you can not only work through and decide which lessons you're going to assign, right down to which questions you're going to assign, right down to which learn screens you're going to assign. So you may go through a lesson, think there's too much in there, think there are 2 or 3 screens you want to cut out or you want to replace. And we also have the opportunity to make notes on any learn screen. This is essentially like giving you access to write your own material or provide your own recesses right there on the learn screen, or basically to combine or merge what you want to do with what we've done. And so that can be anything from putting links to YouTube videos to writing your own content or your own reflection questions, or even assignments that you want to put into a particular learn screen. So right down to that individual screen, you have the ability to customize the course.
And we have a question here from Andrea, who's asking, are these materials easily accessible to university and college bookstores for students to purchase? I can take the part of that and then let you jump in there if you want to add anything, Cory. Yes, they are. If you pilot or use our software and materials, then we will work with your bookstore to get everything that you want to be part of your class there, and the students can go to the bookstore and purchase access and the additional supplemental materials.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be more in your wheelhouse than mine. I do know, you know, another thing to mention is that we have single sign-on capability with some major LMSs like Canvas as well. So not only are we accessible, you know, in the bookstore, we're also easily accessible and easy to use with a lot of college campuses and the LMSs that they already employ.
Exactly. Thank you. Okay, well, that takes us right to the end of our time. Cory, I want to thank you again for taking the time today and for presenting all of this information. I want to thank everybody for attending today. If you do think of any more questions, or perhaps you're watching the recorded version of this, you can always email Cory, like he said, at psychology@hawkslearning.com, or you can email us at marketing@hawkslearning.com. And we will definitely get back to you with an answer. We will also be emailing out a link to view this webinar on demand. I hope everyone has a great rest of their day.
Thank you.